Hello and welcome to Balanced Existence. I am here with a oracle and tarot reading for the spiritual and perhaps twin flame collective. If you clicked, I trust that there's a message here for you. So I already pulled the Show Your Support oracle card, which speaks about connections with others. And so I strongly feel like this is going to be a message that has to do with some connection in your life. It could be romantic, it could be twin flame or soulmate, or it could be a friendship or a family member or some kind of dynamic that I'm feeling there was some kind of conflict. So, and even if there wasn't, I trust that there's a message here for you because this is really speaking to not just conflict resolution that's required, but also just how we show up in our relationships and how we utilize our relationships as a mirror and how we can nurture and support our relationships as well as receive support from them. And so this card speaks about taking the time to encourage or be a supporting companion for somebody that maybe they need some help or they need a safe space. And it's your ability to provide that for them with, of course, your boundaries in mind. And, you have this beautiful light. You're able to listen and really understand and feel other people fully when they are close to you. And we don't want to do that in a way that's going to drain our reserves, but, speaking about not everyone in your life, but those close loved ones that we care very much about and that we are committed to showing up for. And again, if the part about conflict did speak to you and there are some challenges in this dynamic, this message is for a connection that is a loved one, that is somebody that you care very much about. And whether there's conflicts and challenges or not, this is about you showing up in the best way that you can. And of course, that always means looking out for your energy needs and looking out for your abilities in any given moment to provide that support for somebody. So when we talk about seeing the mirroring in our connections, that's exactly what we mean, is the opportunity to give to others, but then to also receive. And when there are certain types of conflicts or challenges, we can see how those are mirroring back something towards us. And of course, there's always accountability on both sides, but ultimately, there's a really strong message coming through about the nature and the ebb and flow of relationships. And when we create that strong network with others, whether it's a one-on-one or a friend group or a community, we create a net positive effect and we contribute to the ascension and raising of the frequency of the planet. And now I want to also just disclaim again that this is not your role to play. If you're listening to this or if you identify as a light worker, an empath, it can very often feel like the burden is on your shoulders because you're doing all of the feeling. You may feel like you're doing the feeling for other people. And what we're really trying to get at here is there's this mirroring that is here to show you how we can achieve more balance in these connections. We are seeking balanced communities, balanced friendships, so that there is a equal give and take, so that everyone's cup can be full to the best of our abilities in any given moment, and that everyone receives the love that they seek and deserve. So with all that being said, I want to channel a little bit more into this Make-A-Wish oracle card that also came out. And this is about shifting. So for the collective that may feel burdened by, their empathic abilities, whether it's large scale in a community or in the world, or whether it's in a particular one-on-one relationship or connection, especially one that may, be going through certain conflicts and challenges, I want to pivot from that heaviness, which you may feel at this given time if you're clicking on this, but it may be something that every now and then you feel, I don't want to say burdened by or heavy, because that does seem like very negative, but ultimately I'm getting for this collective that it's a common experience for you to navigate through life feeling like, even with the closest people in your life, that there's some kind of disconnect or imbalance of give and take, or this feeling of not fully being understood or something like that. So this card is coming out. I want to go back to the show your support card for a second. That card came out not just to simply tell you to go show your support to more people, but, as I was channeling into, this card is speaking about how we build networks, how we build communities, how we build relationships. And the channeled message that came through that was, like I said, the concept of how our relationships mirror things within. So that being said, I'm feeling like this card is coming through for a collective that maybe is feeling the burden of a conflict, or maybe very often in their lives, they do feel some kind of isolation or imbalance in their relationships. So now we pivot to the Make-A-Wish card, which speaks about making a wish. Like, you have this vision of how you would like to be treated by others, how you would like to feel when you're with your loved ones, how you would like to have an impact on others, because of course this is always two-way in our relationships. But ultimately there's something that you wish for. There's some new stage or new energetic timeline that you are wishing to step into, which would result in you having more balance in your relationships. And this could be a particular relationship that comes to mind, whether it's romantic or friend or family, or this could be multiple relationships. It could be a pattern of how you navigate through life in terms of the people you know and the communities and the networks that you have formed thus far. I'm also picking up on a portion of this collective that maybe doesn't feel like they have a big spiritual community. I mean, of course, if you're on this channel, you're getting closer, but maybe you don't feel like you have a lot of in-person people that you can talk to about these things. And so there's certain limitations that you feel are blocking you from that fulfillment and balance that you seek in your relationships. And so the Make-A-Wish card is coming through because it's encouraging you to set a clear intention about what it is that you wish for in these relationships. What would you like? What would you like to experience? And really tap into that, not just on an intellectual level, but, through a visualization that you can really feel into, and with undertones of abundance and the knowing that anything is possible. If you were given one wish in this relationship or in your community, in your multiple relationships in your community, what would you wish for? And the ability to trust that your wish will come true in divine timing and in a way that will support you in alignment with your highest path. So I want to pull some tarot cards to help clarify these oracle messages. And we have the Two of Cups. Yeah. I'm getting chills. There's some friendship or relationship that means so much to you, and you have wished for a union like this. And for many of you, this will be a romantic twin flame, something that has just caused you so much grief or challenges. I'm also hearing it could be a very long time connection, yet it feels like something that you've only wished for. It's not felt like something that you've tapped into the embodied feeling in the physical. It feels like a wish, or like an abstract concept or an abstract dream. So what else do we need to know about how we can reach better alignment and balance and at least union within the self? Because as you guys know, I'm not here to channel into the external outcomes to soothe your ego. Some twin flames are simply not meant to be in union. And so this isn't really about you achieving this external wish come true. This is about the inner work that you are being called to do, as all my readings are always meant to tap into your inner world and the work that must be done to get you towards fulfillment, all of which is in your power. This isn't about, waiting on some external person to show up better or, to make your wish come true. So I want to tap more into what this journey means for you on an internal level. And this Two of Cups energy is, of course, representing this feeling of emotional fulfillment, of trust, of union. And so on an internal level, what does the collective need to know to get to that embodiment so that they can step out of this wishing and step into an actual aligned, balanced connection? So we have the Four of Swords and the Chariot. So we're talking about balance. So the Four of Swords is talking about rest. And of course, the Four of Swords comes after the Three of Swords, heartbreak. And so the Four of Swords very much touches on, not just rest and recovery and, self-care and all of that, but also just the ability to take some time. This could be a time of separation, but specifically taking time for yourself to process heartbreak that you went through. And, when we talk about how we show up in our relationships and the mirrors that are shown to us, what is it that we need to do to better see the reflections in the mirrors that are being presented to us? How can we have better self-awareness so that we understand how we're showing up in relationships and how and why certain patterns are manifesting in the way that they might be doing for you? And it's only through that introspection and that reflective period and that time to just pause and think and rest, not to do anything, but to just reflect. And of course, with the Four of Swords being the element of air, this is a very mental focused card of you really intellectually and mentally processing what happened so that you can understand it better. And, this can only happen when you give yourself that time of quiet, that mental quiet, the quieting of the mental chatter, especially after a period of stress or this conflict. You may have felt burnt out from all that you gave to the relationship. You may have felt betrayed or burnt out from how emotionally taxing this dynamic was. And so the Four of Swords is coming to tell you to take that time to meditate, quiet the mental chatter, sleep, take care of yourself, because then you will have the energy to see things clearly. Now, I want to speak on the Chariot because this is all about feeling this intense determination. And there's this duality between the Four of Swords and the Chariot, because a part of you may be feeling completely burnt out and you know that you need separation or you know that you need time for yourself. That's what the Four of Swords is representing. But then another part of you may be in this ready to take action energy that the Chariot represents. It's this feeling of, I can do this, I can achieve victory, I can achieve the success that I seek. I have the willpower, I have the focus to continue to move forward. The shadow of this is when we begin to force things to move forward, right? Ultimately, the Chariot represents the ability to achieve victory by taking control over that which you do have control of and taking this really grounded, firm, focused, direct action on something. And it's very much the energy of a leader. And so I do think that there is a time and place for this, right? And when it's exercised not in the right time or place, it is the shadow embodiment. And so in order to feed into this Two of Cups wish that you have, again, whether it's an external union, but more importantly, the union within yourself, the emotional fulfillment and trust and love and satisfaction that we need to first achieve in our internal world. There is a time for rest and there is a time for action. And so a big part about your journey right now is by utilizing the mirror that our relationships show us to learn how to discern when rest is required, when space and silence is required, and when action and willpower and focus and leadership is required. So I want to channel a little more into this to see what guidance needs to come through. We have the Six of Swords and the Two of Swords. Yeah, there's this desire to mend a conflict. And again, I'm not speaking to, you're meant to resolve this conflict and be in union with your twin flame. Again, I really want to bring this back to the internal purpose. The Six of Swords is coming through because there's a conflict that you want to overcome or move on from or move past. And whether or not this means actually having a conversation with a person and having that external conflict resolution, which may or may not be the case for you, but more importantly, this is always going to first be reaching a internal state of what the Six of Swords represents, which is moving on from those choppy waters, moving on from those difficult situations. And so again, this is first and foremost about the inner world before it is about any kind of external conflict resolution. And same with the Two of Swords. I mean, this is coming through because there's something that's being avoided, repressed, there's some denial. And if you are quick to see this in your twin flame or whoever this connection is for you, then allow it to be a mirror to something within you. And the big takeaway here is that this is deep work that's not just about this one-on-one relationship. You may find that there are patterns with your other relationships in life, your friendships, your family, or maybe you found that there are patterns that you've experienced over the years in different romantic relationships or something like that. Ultimately, the Two of Swords comes up because I'm feeling like this is a card that has been something that has been kind of like a long-term karmic lesson that you've been working towards. And like maybe in the past it was a much more prevalent energy, but it's getting less and less. But it's still coming through to us today for this collective because there's deeper work that can be done. And there's this idea that with the Make-A-Wish card, you don't want to feel tension and anxiety in your relationships anymore. And so when you're feeling full of this inner conflict, you don't want to ignore this anymore. You don't want to not acknowledge it and just hope that it goes away. You want to put effort into not repressing these anxieties and tensions, but rather to have an open heart and an open mind and the tools to have emotionally mature conversations, whether it's, again, on an internal level, just you processing things, or whether it's an external conversation with this person. But you want to show up in this life being able to navigate conflict and being able to resolve it. And whether it's because you want union with the twin flame or you want a specific friendship to be mended or relationship with a family member to be mended, regardless of the external outcome that you hope for or you wish for, which is okay to have that desire and have that wish or dream. But it's more important that you recognize, the mirror to your inner world. In what ways are you putting a blindfold on to shield yourself from the truth? And so, like I was saying before, if you receive this card and you are quick to think about the other person and the ways in which they do this, there is some mirrored message there of you either doing the opposite or you doing the same thing, because energetically we're attracting these relationships into our lives to allow us to grow on an emotional and spiritual level. There's this magnetic attraction to these soul contracts that are here to allow us to heal and process and overcome these karmic lessons. So Spirit is asking you to keep an open heart, keep an open mind, and where there is an opportunity to blame, to instead, blame the other person or yourself, to instead go inward with compassion. So let's see if there's any other messages that need to come through for this collective. I do feel like this was a really powerful message. I'm getting chills again just on the concept of your internal power, like your power of alchemy. It's really not about the external outcome. And I know that's like hard to think of life in that way because, we have desires, we want connection, but on the spiritual level, there's such a powerful internal alchemy that you are doing. And I hope that you can recognize and appreciate that for how powerful it is. So we have the 9 of Wands and the Tower. Yeah, exactly. And then the Ace of Swords and the Sun. Wow. Okay, yeah, this is the full circle moment. So the 9 of Wands may be how you're feeling right now. Like you may feel wounded. You may feel like you've been struggling so much with this, but at the same time, you have this inner spark and passion and strength to allow you to keep going. You have the determination to move forward. You may have doubts at times. You may feel like the situation is just so difficult, but you know that it's worth working through. And again, this does not have to be an external conflict resolution because, like I always say, this is about your internal journey. And the 9 of Wands is all about inner strength. This isn't about, okay, I'm going to force this relationship or, I'm going to take the steps and it's going to be happily ever after and I'm going to get the outcome I want. That's besides the point. The 9 of Wands is coming through because, when I say that you have the strength and determination to move forward, this is very much speaking to your internal world. You have the internal resources. You're not relying on the outside world to rescue you or to give you the outcomes that you wish for. So you're calling upon your own internal skills and resources, your integrity, your courage to free yourself from the hardships and from the conflicts. And it's only through this repetitive practice, through your experiences that give you this wisdom, that you're able to carry this hope of victory through these struggles. And you may have been doing this for a long time, and you may slip into feelings of shame or guilt about repeating the same cycles. But, like I said, with the 2 of Swords being kind of a recurring energy perhaps in your life or in your relationships or in this one particular relationship. But the 9 of Wands is reminding us that because you have endured this challenge or struggle multiple times, you now have the inner strength to navigate this, stronger and better than you ever have before. And that's kind of like this Tower moment that's showing us like, this is the victory. Like this is the closure of a pattern, of a cycle, if you allow it to crumble so that you can rebuild it from the bottom. Whereas if you hang on to these attachments to this certain external outcome or these attachments to some expectation, you are bypassing and skipping over the inner work that is right there for you. But when you really lean into this Tower moment and you allow the old patterns, this 2 of Swords energy of repressing or avoiding or having that denial, when you hold on to that, you don't allow this Tower moment to move to its completion. And the underlying concept here is that you are doing this for yourself, right? Like, you are not doing this for the external outcome. You're doing this because you know that this is what's going to evolve your soul. This is what's going to allow you to show up in your higher version of self. And this is what's going to allow you to have a healthy, embodied energy. And this is what we will pass down to our future generations. Like, the healing that you are doing is allowing you to model and spread love and spread healthy connection and relationships, especially for this huge collective of twin flames that have self-sacrificed and have betrayed themselves at the expense of the relationship and have struggled with, the attachments, and, there's such deep and heavy wounds through the twin flame experience. And it's not to, impose shame. It's to show just how much beautiful, deep karmic work you're doing through this relationship, and how you can see through this, I hope, that it's not about whether you get the union with the twin flame or not. It's about your internal journey, your internal energy, because ultimately we are all connected. And so when you take that work to heal yourself, there is a powerful ripple effect. You may not see or feel it in every moment, but it is spreading, and it is what's contributing to the ascension of this planet. So I hope that you see this Nine of Wands and Tower moment as a beautiful purpose of your journey here. And with the Ace of Swords, like, this is that new beginning. I mean, this is you starting fresh after you've torn down those unhealthy foundations with the Tower. And from that challenge and difficulty and heavy pain comes a brilliant, beautiful new beginning. It's a sweeping change. It may seem disruptive, but it's necessary. This is all part of your soul's journey. It's what you came here to do. It's, it's written in the soul contract. So as difficult as it may feel, you know that you are working towards that balance. And, the swords talk about truth and justice. And that is exactly what is being achieved here through this process. And so when we talk about the Four of Swords and the Chariot and kind of balancing, when to rest and when to act, this is all part of that journey of you getting to this balance that's in alignment with your soul's truth, that's in alignment with your soul's authenticity, that's in alignment with what you need. And from that, we get justice, we get fairness, we get balance. And with the Sun card finishing us off here, it's like bright days are ahead. Like, it may seem heavy, it may seem like you're just wishing for things to be better, but you are doing the work. And even when you don't see it reflected in your 3D reality, energetically, you are making powerful energetic ripples that are spreading more love, self-love, and unity love throughout the planet, throughout the collective. And the Sun is here to remind you, like, your inner child is healing more and more each day. And there's such a bright future ahead of you. Okay, so I'm going to leave this reading here, a little heavy, but like a beautiful message and, future that is being laid out for you here. So I just hope that you can really feel into how beautiful the work you're doing is. And, whether or not you identify as a twin flame, or, whether or not this was a romantic relationship or anything, any relationship that you're able to learn more about yourself from and grow and evolve your soul is powerful, beautiful work. So I hope that you can feel into just how far you've come. And even if you feel like you have a long way to go, or, wherever you feel you're at on your journey, just know that, the journey's never ending. So the best thing that you can do is, as often as you can, remember just how beautiful of a journey you're on and what an amazing job that you are doing. And I hope that you can feel that within. And I feel it so strongly in this collective. And I just want to send my love and my support and my encouragement. And I hope that you can continue to show up with this passion and inspiration that you do. So this is what I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here, for being a part of this collective, for listening. And I would love to hear from you in the comments if you have anything to add, anything that resonated. Every like and subscribe means so much to me. It brings me so much joy to see this collective growing and being formed. So I'm so glad that you found this channel and you found this collective. And thank you so much for listening. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.